In the past, I've talked on a number of occasions on the YouTube channel about video game crunch and kind of the pros and cons to this concept and how it kind of compares very closely to that of film production, which is something that I can directly relate to because I worked on a number of movies in the past. And I know what it's like to be consistently working very long hours and such. And I think there's a comparison there that is kind of viable and relatable to that of video game crunch. Well, I've talked about it in the past, and I came across an article from Kotaku that I thought was really well put together, and it's about The Last of Us 2. And I want to talk about this game that is so anticipated, and so people are so excited about it. But knowing kind of some of the backstory as to how we got to, where we are right now before the game, of course, releases, and of course, what this may mean for the future of video game development, and why is it that the video game industry is putting such a spotlight on crunch and outside sources kind of putting this big, making it such a big deal when this is so normal in film production. And, I know video games haven't been around quite as long, but I think of it, like I said, is really relatable. So let's talk about it. As I said, in an article that was written by Jason Schreier, guys, of Kotaku, one Friday night last month, some artists at the video game studio Naughty Dog were working on their latest game when they heard a crash. A large metal pipe had fallen from above them and landed right next to their desks. If it had dropped a few feet closer, the consequences might have been dire. It was late past 9 o'clock p.m. and the construction workers above had perhaps recklessly assumed that nobody was there. But at Naughty Dog, people were always there. As one Naughty Dog developer recently told me, this game is really good, but at a huge cost to the people. Even in an industry where overtime is ubiquitous, where it's near impossible to find a game that isn't the result of weeks or months of crunch, Naughty Dog stands out. Its games, including the Uncharted Adventure series and 2013's groundbreaking The Last of Us, are widely considered among the best of the best, with ultra-realistic graphical fidelity and the type of meticulous details you wouldn't see in other games. Shooting a sack of grain in Uncharted 4 would cause the sack to deflate as barley poured out of it. Shining a flashlight at Ellie's face in The Last of Us led her to blink and turn away. Those details exist because Naughty Dog has built a culture of perfectionism where games have to be great, no matter the human cost. Now look, guys, a lot of you already know my take on crunch, and like I said, comparing it to film production, lots of long days, long nights. That's what you sign up for. You do it for the love of film production, and I believe the same can be said for game development. It's for love of making video games and as an art form, creating these amazing worlds and such. Now, I can't really relate to the gaming industry or game development because I've never worked on a video game before, but from what I've heard, it sounds a lot like film production in a number of ways. I'm not saying, and I'm not going to take away that there are people that are working brutal hours in game development, but I just think, guys, that there's too much of a spotlight on crunch when, in film production, this is something that is happening with almost every single movie, TV show that you watch on TV. And a lot of those guys obviously are, a lot of those video production companies are significantly perfectionist, just like Naughty Dog. Think of filmmakers like Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan. You think these guys are working just like an 8-hour day? No, they are working significant long hours trying to perfect their movies. I'll give you an example. Martin Scorsese with Leonardo DiCaprio on The Wolf of Wall Street, there was a scene where DiCaprio was on Preludes, or his character was, and was crawling out to the Lamborghini, and he was opening up the Lamborghini trying to drive home as he was playing as Jordan Belfort. But that scene took months to film because they wanted to perfect that scene, and that's why you just saw unbelievable performances out of all of the actors, and of course it won a number of awards. So there's that, and so you have to think about those things as well in relation to with game development, because video games are newer. That's why we're having such a spotlight on it at this point, in my opinion. But I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section below about that. Many who have worked at Naughty Dog over the years describe it as a duality, as a place that can be simultaneously the best and the worst workplace in the world. Working at Naughty Dog means designing beloved, critically acclaimed games alongside artists and engineers who are considered some of the greatest in their fields. But for many of those same people, it also means working 12-hour days or longer, and even weekends when the studio is in crunch mode, sacrificing their health, relationships, and personal lives at the altar of the game. Like I said, guys, this is so compared. You could totally compare this to movies and film production. 12-hour days or longer. Okay, that's what you. I mean, I remember I was a second assistant director on a film that came out a few years ago, and we would wake up really early in the morning, around 6 in the morning, and a lot of times we wouldn't get done until midnight or later than that. It was just one of those things, guys. They're called long days when you're trying to get a film and you have a certain amount of days that you can get it done. And the same can be said for a company like Naughty Dog. They have to try to get these things. They're on a schedule. They have to get things done in a timely manner. The only thing that bothers me the most, as I've said in the past about this, is I wish game developers would get better at knowing when the game is going to come out instead of giving us a release date and then they push it back. That's something that needs to change in the industry. But as far as the crunch goes, guys, this is very relatable to other industries. Let's be real. They do try to take care of you, providing food, encouragement to go take breaks, said one former developer. But for the most part, the implication is get the job done at all costs. One major consequence of this culture has been attrition. Of the 20 non-lead designers in the credits of 2016's Uncharted 4, a whopping 70% are no longer at the studio, which has had wide-ranging effects on the development of The Last of Us 2 and led to questions about the continued viability of the Naughty Dog approach. Some Naughty Dog veterans tolerate or even enjoy the crunch, while a handful have even found ways to work normal hours. But those speaking to Kotaku say they see it as an untenable atmosphere. So, once again, guys, obviously there's a number of people over at Naughty Dog that think that they're being worked too hard. And look, game development, film production, music industry, a lot of these aren't for everyone. They're just not. They're not for everybody. Now, usually the people who are at the top of like some of these development studios and such, obviously they have a real passion for it because they've been probably doing it for a number of years. And look, I'm going to say this, is that Naughty Dog, you can tell that they are perfectionists. They want this to be perfect. Rockstar Games is another one that's a great example of it. They are perfectionists, even though, they obviously they take their time with their games. They want it to be perfect. And that's just how the studio works. And they have critically acclaimed games pretty much every time they have a release of a game. So look, if you don't want to be in that type of environment, then sure, maybe you need to work for, a different game development studio that isn't getting critically acclaimed games, that there isn't like necessarily a sense of urgency and crunch to it. And I'm sure there's plenty of those in the industry. The same can be said for something like in filmmaking. You might not want to be on James Cameron's set for one of his Avatar movies or for one of his movies in general, because sometimes it can get really stressful. And sure, long hours are a very common thing with his movies, with Scorsese's movies. These are perfectionists, guys, at their craft. So you have to know kind of what you're getting into or have an idea of what you're getting into. And that's just part of that's part of game development. It's part of filmmaking. People don't like to compare video games to movies, but in a lot of ways, it's like you're playing the movie. You're playing, these characters, and really, you kind of go into that character's mind, and you become that person for a period of time. So, a representative for Sony and Naughty Dog turned down interview requests with studio management, declined to provide comment. Crunch culture at Naughty Dog isn't a secret. The studio is open about this mentality in interviews with new hires, and its managers deliberately seek out perfectionists in art, design, engineering, and all of the other disciplines that make games happen. The type of people Naughty Dog wants to hire are the type of people who will willingly stay late at the office in order to make their games better. The type of people who would take the time to make sacks of grain deflate when you shoot them. At Naughty Dog, nobody asks the developers to crunch. Nobody has to ask. They'll be there anyway. So, look, guys, all in all, I don't want to go on this like massive rant about, the video game crunch and such, but it's like, look, if you love game development and that's what you want to do for a living, this is what you're going to have to do. I had to do it as a production assistant to a second assistant director for a number of years when I was trying to like kind of make my way into the filmmaking industry. And obviously I stepped away from it and YouTube was here, and that was why this was a way that I could like create content and kind of stay somewhat in tune with things that were happening within filmmaking and kind of create my own little short videos. And so the thing about it is, guys, is look, it's not for everybody, and it's a hard industry to kind of, get into. And so a lot of these guys are wanting to put all that they've got into these video games and game development. The same with filmmaking. You want to try to work your way up, and a lot of times you got to put in a lot of hours in order to do that. Now, look, am I going to sit here and say that all the studios are, there's no like foul play going on behind the scenes, like they just treat their employees like trash and they're trying to overwork them and all of those? That's like an unhealthy environment. But look, guys, when it comes to the creative arts and you're talking, game development, and you're talking about theater, you're talking about filmmaking, you're talking about the music industry, these are industries where you do work very hard and for long hours. And obviously, guys, after, all those, that period of time that you're working on those games or on that game in particular, that movie in particular, obviously after it's done, and then you can kind of move on to the next project. But I think, guys, that the way that you have to look at these things is that, sure, you're going to work hard while you're working on a specific project. And then, after that crunch time, you can see your work that's been done, and you built something that would be considered a legacy move, moving forward, and that's a part of your career forever. And so that's a huge thing, and I think people don't really look at it necessarily from that standpoint. I think that Naughty Dog, maybe things aren't really good behind the scenes there, but it sounds like they treat their employees pretty good. It's just, you just got to work hard and you got to work some long hours. Okay, there's a lot of jobs that do that, guys. It's not something new. And so Naughty Dog is just an example of a company that wants to be perfectionist. They want to make incredible games, and that's what they're doing so that we can play them, and it's a part of video game history and a legacy that people will remember for forever. The same can be said with Rockstar Games. The same can be said with a number of other gaming studios. And the other thing is, guys, is that compares to like what Warner Brothers is trying to do and what Universal tries to do. And a lot of these other movie companies, what they're trying to do is build legacies for the rest of time. But look, guys, I want to hear from all of you. What do you guys think about the video game crunch? Do you guys think I'm crazy thinking that it's overblown significantly? I think that it is very relatable to that of other entertainment industries. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And for more Last of Us 2 videos and content, stay here with Zero TV.